Welcome to Sipping on Excellence. This is Coach KJ, and I'm here with my man, my dude, the Doc.
And this is where we will be discussing the exceptional that is absolutely attainable. My friends, here's to living that extraordinary life.
Cheers. Yo, 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 yo.
Yo!
Little pumped today.
We got a little amped today, dog.
Know, right?
Man. For y'all that missed the live this morning, welcome to Sippin' on Excellence.
Start there.
I'm going to start there before we get into it.
Who are you?
I am Coach. Shit, no, I'm not. I'm looking at Coach. I'm like, I'm Coach.
If you are watching this on YouTube, got him.
Oh, my God.
Because it always is, I'm Coach KJ and the Doc.
Right.
So guess
who are
what?
you? I'm Coach. Damn, no. I'm Doc. He's Coach KJ.
That lets you know we were properly educated.
Yes.
C before D. Oh, we starting this off right,
man. Sipping on Excellence with Coach KJ and Doc.
Welcome.
Doing what we do, man.
Start this thing off, folks.
So we had a great live this morning. It was hot, but it was informative because we were talking about earlier how on our live it's a bunch of women.
Yeah.
Like all women.
Yeah.
And it was just gravitating, like almost hanging on to every word that we were saying, like, all right, then this.
And it's always, but the funny thing is, it's always a but. So we'll say something, but he did this. I'm like, okay, but what?
Trying to excuse bad behavior never works.
No.
Never excuse bad behavior, y'all. There's no reason for it.
No, not at all.
Right.
I remember when I was going through my divorce.
Yeah.
And so many people, especially the church, the idea, the mindset is you have to try, you have to continue.
Why? Exactly.
So this is the best part. The pastor that married us said, first thing he said, so what did you learn? That's it. He just wanted me to identify with me, stay in me lane and work on me.
Right. And that's the most important thing. But too many people make all these excuses, man. And, to recap what you guys missed, we talked about women getting played by womanizing men.
Yes.
And kind of
very specific on one guy.
Because what we've encouraged people to do is send us a DM with questions, things you guys want us to talk about on our live, because we go in depth. And even if it pertains to you, we're not going to call you out personally, but you're going to get the answers, because it's hard for you guys to ask your questions on the live because it's delayed.
Right.
And like the person who asked this of me was saying she couldn't get it all out because she couldn't type it fast enough on her phone. So when I had a personal conversation, I was like, look, why don't you send me a message with the entire story, and then we'll talk about it on the live and get not just my opinions, but you'll see, there may be people like you going through the same thing. And sure enough, 90% of people on that live could relate.
Yes.
Which was kind of crazy, right? But not. And so you guys can go check out the full live from this morning, the warm-up show that we do every Saturday morning. You can go check it out on either the SOE_podcast on IG or at Leonel Hunt. You'll see the full, and I'm sure everybody will have questions and comments after you take a look at it. But it's every week we'll do that.
Yeah.
If you guys send us DMs, we'll tell your story.
Actually, we can go up on mine as well, right?
Yeah. It's on Coach KJ as well, all three. And so DM any one of those accounts and fire off stuff that you want us to talk about on the lives, because that's different than what we talk about on the podcast. The podcast is very specific topics. The live is what's bugging y'all. What's bugging y'all this week?
Yeah. What we heard, what we got. This is what we rolling with.
Because literally what we talked about on the live today, I went to work this morning and this came up.
Right.
And so we're like, she's like, well, y'all talk about this today because I got questions.
But it was slightly introduced last week on the live.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because she couldn't get all of her questions answered last week.
Correct.
I was like, we'll dedicate this whole live to you. And it works because everybody else could relate and they want to hear that story, hear what we're saying. And I think it's kind of cool. So tune in, you guys. You're missing out when you don't catch that one because that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that's off the cuff. Not to say this one ain't.
The beauty is when we figure out how to monopolize all the platforms at one time.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a game changer.
But we're growing. And
because we two old dudes that are not tech savvy and we're just doing it.
Because what we may end up doing too at some point is allowing people to call in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then shit then turns into a radio show. But or at least in real time, while we're talking and this is live, you guys can DM us as we're live and really get your questions answered.
Yeah.
Like I see some other podcasts will have DMs going live and just answering questions right there. That's a thing that can happen as well.
Mm-hmm. You don't know.
Suggestions, y'all. We're learning this game.
Yeah. What would you like to see from us? What can we offer? Because we're here to offer the human experience.
Oh, for sure.
That's the bottom line.
And we offer it to everybody.
Yeah.
We pick on everybody. We answer everybody's questions. It's not just for men, just for women. It's not age dependent. It's not race dependent.
It's just for me. All these commercials, man.
I got to deal with this on a regular basis.
I came in quoting Major Payne, so I'm on one today.
You really did. I'm quoting Eddie Murphy in the live today. Oh man. Let's get into the topic, dog.
I know.
But before we do, let's introduce this cocktail. It's not even really a cocktail, but it's what we're sipping on today. We decided to do a little, put a little spin on what we're away from what we normally do. And it's a good one. We might as well. We said we were going to hit it all.
Right.
When we first started the podcast, we said we were going to hit it all.
When we first
started is what I want to say. When we farsted. When we farsted the podcast. When we first started the podcast, we said we were going to hit everything. We ain't hitting gin. Period.
Right.
So today, hard cider, right?
Hard cider. That's it.
That's it.
Nice and easy.
Nice and refreshing. Cheers, brother. Cheers to you guys.
Tasty.
Yeah, right?
Little simple, little buttery,
almost like a little apple in there or something, right?
Yeah. Well,
it's apple cider. Hard cider, yeah.
Yeah, apple hard cider.
I never had one, so that's why.
Okay, there you go. Yeah,
I've never had a hard cider. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they got
hard
kombuchas, hard ciders.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
So, Coach came up again with this topic. He's banged out 2 topics in a row, and literally after we finished the podcast last week, he texted me. This is it. Just one word.
Mm-hmm.
Obsession.
And
not the Calvin Klein cologne. Even though I'm gonna tell y'all, I've been wearing cologne for a long time.
Correct.
My grandfather used to wear it, and I used to just steal some of his cologne. And so I'm gonna tell you, Obsession, when I was a freshman and sophomore in high school, was a banger. It was a dropper. If you know, you know.
All 120 pounds of you. Come here, toothpick.
Dude, when I was a freshman in high school, I was 5'2" and I weighed 92 pounds.
Oh, shit. I gave you too much credit.
You gave way too much credit. I was my growth spurt happened between summer and freshman year. Between freshman and sophomore year summer.
Wow.
Yeah. And then kept going from there. But yeah, I started playing football when I was 5'2", 92 pounds, and coach was like, you committed suicide, right, son? And in my mind, I was like, stupid. I was like, nah.
Yeah, I'm going to do this anyway. Yeah.
I happened to be a little quick, so it just made up for it.
Okay. Got that head crack.
Made me switch from receiver to DB.
Right.
Didn't like getting hit.
Nope. Right. Nope. You are lined up to get hit.
And that just that ended up being my route. Yeah. But yeah, man. So we want to talk about, why are you obsessed?
And obsessed can go so many ways.
And it plays into what we talked about on the live today about how people get played. They lose themselves because they get obsessed with the other person. And so here's my question. Do you think that obsession has a place in love, or is obsession more based on infatuation?
Oh, it's absolute infatuation.
Yeah.
Absolute infatuation. There's a lust behind it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a draw. Like and it could be negative or positive.
Yeah. And how does I always wonder how somebody gets, because I'm not obsessed with anything.
Okay.
So I always wonder, like, what makes you obsessed? Like, what flips in your mind that just, and we talk about OCD, and I was having this conversation about, obsessive compulsive, and we make jokes about it, but there are real people out there who struggle because of OCD. I got to wash my hands 1,000,000 times, and that obsession becomes a compulsion, and that's not healthy. And we always talk about obsessions not being healthy in the psychological OCD, DSM-5 or 4, whatever it is that's out now world. But being obsessed with people, that shit's not healthy either.
No.
And, men and women alike become obsessed with the person. That's how, like with men, that's how you get stalkers. You get people that get obsessed with celebrities.
Creating stalkers.
I mean, look at the obsession that Beyonce draws, not just fans, but people who are totally obsessed, like celebrate her birthday when she ain't even around.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's so crazy that you wrap your world around somebody who doesn't even know you exist. How crazy is that shit?
The crazy part is that person knows they have that level of obsession over you, and they don't know you.
They don't know you. And the person who's obsessed knows that it's irrational, but they can't do shit about it.
They can't do anything about it
at all.
They are gone.
Would you, growing up and going through college and all that, you could tell when a woman was obsessed with you. How did you handle it, especially if you weren't into them? Like you could tell, like, she's way too into me. Like we talked about earlier, cut off their friends, cut off their life, because every waking moment they want you. Even when they're asleep, they want you. And that can't be healthy.
No. Do you have a story about that? Do you have one? I have one.
I'll let you go first. I'm going to let you go first because, yeah.
So I was dating this girl in college, and we were just growing apart, but she was still like, where are you? I need to see you all the time. Was asking my friends where I was, checking the yard over at Spelman, over at Clark, over by the library, where I was all the time. So the crazy part was, one time we were having a discussion. I said, listen, this is over. I'm not here for you. I can't be here for you. This is not healthy. The way you're acting, the way you're treating me, you're just all over me. And I don't do well with that. And I told you that from the beginning. And she says, you're not getting away that easy. And I was like, listen.
She's like, no, motherfucker, you're mine.
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
So I live not that far from campus, but far enough. I got a ride. I said, listen, I'm out of here. Yeah. I got to go home. So I got a ride home. How come she got to my apartment before I did?
Wow.
Now, I mean, we probably stopped to get something to eat or whatever, but I got a ride.
She told you, you ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
And if you leave here, I'm coming with you. We attached at the hip.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not. Come here.
If I pulled my pocket out with lint, she would have been
Grab
holding
it.
on to it.
That's crazy. I got a better one for you.
I bet you do.
I told you the woman who broke into my house, right?
No, you
I didn't
have
tell you
not.
that story?
No, you have not.
Man.
No, you have not.
Let's have a dream scenario.
That's me listening in very
Dude.
closely.
When I was living in San Diego before I moved to LA.
Okay.
So me and a buddy of mine go out. I had just moved to San Diego. I'd been in town maybe a month or two. And this was right before like Labor Day weekend. And I had to come up to LA for a meeting. Let's backpedal. Me and my buddy go out. We go like to W Hotel or something to just hang out, grab some drinks. I walk in. And across the way, I see this woman. And I'm like, oh, banger. She's just all of that, right? And so me and my buddy grab a drink, and we're just standing there talking, whatever. And he's like, dude, she is on you. And I'm like, yeah, of course. In my mind, I'm thinking, damn, hell
Right,
yeah.
yeah, right.
But outside, I'm like
right.
this, cool, yeah, whatever.
You know,
Inside,
we
I'm like,
we always,
yeah.
like it's no big deal.
Right. Inside, we're like, dude. Right. And he's like, dude, she's locked in. I was like, I'm cool. Standing by the bar. She gets up. She walks by. And as she walks by, she just kind of looks, goes by the way. When she comes back down, I stop her. I'm like, hey, what's up? We start a conversation. Normal conversation. She tells me she's a school teacher, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. When I say fire, dude, stunning. So friend of mine walks in. Another friend of mine, female friend of mine, walks in, and she waves. And then the girl that I had stopped waves at her, and then they hug. I was like, oh, shit, they know each other. Points for you. I can just ask her, is she crazy? Right? You know, familiarity.
Got it.
We exchange numbers, and they're like, we're going to this spot. You want to go? My buddy that was with me knows if he says, nah, take me home, then I'm not going to go out. I'll be like, all right, man, I'll just take you home, whatever. And he said he sensed something was off because she was just into you. But he's like, not a big deal. But this buddy of mine also has, can be a little hater at times too.
Okay.
After we get off air, I'll tell you who the buddy is. You'll know exactly who I mean.
Okay.
And so we go home. But this time he was on point. So we move forward. We go home, right? She lived like 30 minutes north of me or something, like 20 minutes north. And so we talk on the phone a couple times, whatever. And then one day she calls me up and she's like, I'm going to be in La Jolla.
Okay.
Let's go grab a drink. She's like, I can just come scoop you up. Now, I lived in a gated community, like an apartment complex like the Palazzo.
Yeah.
So I was like, when you get to the guard gate, have them buzz me, and then I'll just come outside the gate and meet you outside. She's like, oh, I can drive. I was like, cool. Hop in her car. We go grab a drink. She drops me back off. Good night. You know? Fast forward now, it's Labor Day weekend. So this is maybe like a few weeks. I moved the 1st of August to San Diego. So between the 1st of August and Labor Day. Mm-hmm. I come up to LA for a meeting, driving back home. She calls me. She's like, I'm having a little barbecue. Why don't you and your boy come to my friend's house in Rancho, whatever. And I was like, all right, let me call him. I call him. He's like, man, I don't feel like it, whatever. And I called her back. Yeah, I'm not going to go either. I'm kind of tired. I'm just driving home. Get back home. On the drive home, she called me like 4 times from LA to San Diego. Right? We all know that's an hour and a half drive, 2 hours max. So I'm at home chilling. It gets to be 9:30, 10 o'clock. My phone rings. Come outside and talk to me.
What?
I'm like, where are you? She's like, I'm at your gate. I was like, go home. So at that time, had a home phone because that's how you buzz people in.
Right.
So home phone, cell phone started ringing back and forth because she's ringing from the gate and calling my cell phone back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I was like, finally answered. I was like, go home. I don't know what your problem is, but go home.
Right.
I'm sitting there watching TV. I would say about 20 minutes later, I hear. So I hear knocking at my door. So I go look, and I'm on the ground floor, right?
Oh.
I go look through the peephole, And she's standing there and she's lightly tapping on the door because the hallway wasn't to the outside. The hallway's to the inside of the building.
Okay, gotcha.
And then there's an outside patio off my
Yeah.
apartment. And the apartment set up, there's door from the living room to the patio and sliding glass doors from the bedroom to the patio. So it's shaped kind of like that square. She sits down on the ground in front of my door and just lightly tapping on my door
Until you
and just
answer.
saying, Leonel, please open the door. I just want to talk to you. And repetitively just doing this the whole time.
That's creepy.
The whole time. And I'm just sitting there like, she did it so long, I just knew when I opened the door at some point the next day or whenever I opened the door that there was going to be blood on the door because she wasn't knocking hard, but she was just tapping repetitively for at least a minute straight. And then I was like, I shut the TV off, so I'm going to bed. And then I heard the click, 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 click of the heels leaving. So I'm like, cool, she's going home. I go get in bed. At the door to the living room, she had jumped over the railing, and now I hear the same thing. Please open the door. I just want to talk to you. Now, mind you, I've only been on one date with this woman. She then proceeds, I go to sleep. This is the creepy part.
What?
Oh, no, this is the creepy part. Something tells me, dude, open your eyes. I open my eyes. She's standing at the foot of my bed, shaking my foot, saying, wake up. I just want to talk to you. It broke into my house. Right?
My heart just dropped, man.
Dude, so I sat up because, that first second, I'm scared as shit. Then I sat up and I realized, oh, she ain't here to hurt me, is when the anger set in. And I was like, you better pray the cops get to you before I do. I just wanted to talk to you. Why won't you talk to me? I'm like, go home. Get out of my house. And so she's like, fine, I'll leave. And then she goes to walk through my apartment. I was like, how did you get in here? Basically, because I had been living in this place only for a few weeks, okay. I had never checked, because it's a secure community, I had never checked the sliding glass door, so I didn't know it was unlocked. She just slid it open and walked in. So she leaves. I find out, because I was really cool with the security guards up front, right? Mm-hmm. She's so stunning that when I was like, she'd never been to my apartment, how'd she know where I live? She was so stunning that she just spoke to the security guard, and he was like, dude, I'm so sorry. He's like, but I knew there was no way, because he knew nobody else was there, because I hadn't let in any guests. He's like, I knew there was no way you weren't going to want her here. He's like, but I just looked at him, I was like, dude, I'm sorry to say this to you, but she broke into my house because you let her in. I was like, I can't let that go. He lost his job. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, dude, she broke into my home because you thought I was like, what happens if you do that again? I'm like, I can't handle that. I can't have you doing this dumb shit. We ain't homies like that. You
Right.
just some random.
Right.
That's supposed to be protecting me, and you
Right.
just upright let her in.
Right. Right.
So,
and because of her beauty,
yeah.
he's recognizing like, oh, I can't let, I'm doing him a solid.
So 3 days later, I get this FedEx package in the mail.
Oh my God.
2 days later, she sent a 17-page letter. It was like 14 or 17 pages, handwritten, saying how I let her on with my phone conversations and I'm an evil man. Just all this shit, right?
You went on one date?
One date, never slept with her.
Met her, went on one date.
Had some phone conversations in between.
Right. But all that led to
That.
Yeah.
So me and the boys started calling her the FedEx chick, right? Because that's the only way, you always have a nickname. Fast forward, I go out to dinner, maybe weeks later, months later, and there's a sushi spot that everybody used to go to, kind of like a Katana vibe or whatever,
Gotcha.
Right? So me and the boys, and I told them this story. We walk in, I see my friend from that first night, the girl, sitting with her and her friends, and I'm just like, ah. And so we get our table, and it's over there. Mm-hmm. On the way to the restroom, my friend walks over and speaks, goes sits back down. FedEx chick gets up, walks as if she's going to the bathroom, stops, stands in front of my table with her arms folded, stares at me for like a 15-second pause, just stands there, and then walks off. And that's how stupid men are. So dudes at the table were like, dude, who is that? I was like, dude, that's FedEx chick. One of the dudes sitting next to me was like, and you didn't smash? I'm like, did you not hear the story I told you? Right? He's like, man, I still would have smashed.
Of course it would have.
I'm like, you're an idiot. But that level, I tell that story because that level of obsession so quickly, right there.
It transcends.
I've never seen anything like that. I mean, I had a patient show up at my house once. When I was a resident, I had another woman who just showed up middle of the night knocking on my door.
Wow.
I'm like,
yeah. I mean, I had a former roommate that broke up with her boyfriend. They got all these fights and everything else. She ended up, I didn't know how severe, how bad that situation was. She didn't tell me.
yeah,
Lives with me. I'm going to take her to the airport. Drop her off in her car because I didn't have a car at the time.
yeah.
He had been waiting in her car all day long.
In the car.
In the car. Waiting for her in the car. So I'm talking to the neighbor and I have her bags as she's walking, about to start the car up.
Yeah.
And he just jumps out and lunges after her. My neighbor, it was a predominantly gay neighborhood.
Yeah. Crazy.
And my neighbor comes, he runs in the house because he's out smoking his cigarette, and he's just as cool as a fan.
Right.
He runs in the house, grabs that Smith & Wesson. Where that motherfucker at? Right. Bro, I'm chasing him through the complex. He jumps off a little ravine in the back of the complex, has been about 20 feet. But lands, rolls, off to the races. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not
jumping down there. You won this round.
But
yeah,
finally let her go. I kicked her out of the apartment eventually because we had other risks about other things.
Yeah.
What ended up happening was the next girl he dated that he obsessed over, he killed her, and he killed himself in front of his family.
It's crazy, man. It is an illness to let somebody get you to that point. I had a buddy of mine who, this woman was so wrapped up in him that she made a gesture and tried to hang herself in his closet because he was breaking up with her. He comes and finds her hanging in the closet.
Oh, my God.
Feet on the ground.
Oh, my God.
Feet on the ground, making a gesture like, I'm going to kill myself. And just, number one, you ain't going to die because you're tall enough from the closet that you're, but kind of wild, right?
That's not cute.
No, but people get so wrapped up into other people that it's just it's unhealthy. Yeah. They lose themselves. And we don't even have to go to that extreme. I know people who got married and don't have friends anymore. Like all of their friends are now his friends. And you rarely see it be the other way where all of her friends are his friends. He still maintains his friends, but they get so wrapped up and they don't look at that as an obsession. They just say, oh, my world is now him. Mm-hmm. Is that considered an obsession? I think so, right?
Technically.
Yeah.
Because there's one component that you're so wrapped up into. Like, I know someone that they moved on in their lives, got in this relationship, and before they were out of the last relationship, it was the crying game. It was all the issues. But now he's in this particular relationship. I don't hear from him.
But like your story about, oh, you're never going to leave me. That's typically a man's story.
Yeah.
Whereas women will obsess and lose themselves in a dude. Men will obsess and become crazy and not want that woman to see anyone else.
Correct.
And will try to own her and destroy her life, as opposed to a woman will obsess, lose herself, but then when he breaks up, they're like heartbroken, shattered. The man won't let you break. The obsessed man, there's no breaking up. You're mine. And that shit's dangerous, dude. Mm-hmm. You know, it's so insane, you know.
Which is why I was going to say, think about the show 2020.
Yeah.
50 years this show has been on. Had its categories. It was more like a 60 Minutes, correct? Now, it is all about obsession show, or, you know, this person got killed because of the level of obsession out there in the world. It's just like 24 Hours or one of those other shows that's about crime.
Yeah.
It's like there's this obsession to draw to watching others' obsessions, which is also an obsession. You know what I mean? It's like this draw to watch other obsessions is an obsession.
Could you say obsessions and addictions run hand in hand?
I guess I could, because I mean, you know, obsession is like, I think, more of a behavioral thing.
Okay.
And addiction is that compass of how that addiction goes.
So here's my question. If I'm obsessed with you, am I obsessed because I'm addicted to the way you make me feel?
Yeah. I mean,
Or I'm addicted to the way you made me feel at one point, that even if you don't make me feel that way anymore, I want that back so bad that I'm not willing to let you go, so I'm going to keep that.
never thought about it that way.
Kind of crazy though, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but people, it's not just, obsessed with other people. People are obsessed with their work. They can be, I've seen people who are obsessed with things or obsessed with TV shows. You know, like I know people who watch The Bachelor and they're obsessed with it, like routinely. I can't miss it. I have to tune in. I have parties for it. Dude, that shit's crazy. You know, that shit is actually not healthy.
I have one obsession. It's a game that I have on my phone. Mm-hmm. And it's like they have the daily and they have the weekly. Why did they put the weekly on there?
Are you obsessed or addicted?
I'm addicted.
Yeah. Because once you get drawn in.
And it's the first thing I do in the morning while I'm doing the morning duty. You know what I mean? It's like I'm done. By the time I'm done, it's good for the day.
Yeah. Some people may say social media is that obsession or addiction.
Correct.
And which one is it? I think people get obsessed with posting and being on social media. They get addicted to the likes.
Yes.
They get addicted.
There you go. That's a good
get
look.
addicted to the engagement. Mm-hmm. They get addicted to how that high they feel when they get followers. Or
it's a drug.
Yeah. And so an obsession and addiction, I think, can go hand in hand. And they're both not good.
Right.
You know, you can become obsessed with your work, which then becomes, you become more productive.
Correct.
But when you become so obsessed with your work and your productivity goes up, what suffers? Your personal life. You know? And
goes right back to what we said before. We've said this in the past. There's no such thing as a work-life balance.
There's no balance.
There's no such thing.
But when you take it to the extreme of obsessed with work, then there's no life. Right?
Yeah. Because work is supposed to be a part of life.
It's not supposed to be your life.
Not supposed to be your life.
You know, and I think most of us I'm guilty because I work a shit ton, you know, but I probably try to justify it by saying it doesn't feel like work, you know, which it doesn't. And I always say the first time it feels like work, it's time to do something else. But you could still be obsessed with your hobby and do that too much, you know? And so at what point do we realize that at what point does an obsession become a problem?
I think when it feels the areas of other aspects of your life, like the idea of being able to maintain a relationship,
Right.
having communication with friends, family, when that's all you do. This is all that you want to see is this one thing.
Or like people who are obsessed with making money.
Yeah.
And so everything they do is about getting the bag. And they don't care about who they step on.
No.
They don't care about what it takes to get it. They don't care about what it does to their personal relationships, their family, the people that are so obsessed with money making that they neglect their spouse, they neglect their kids, they neglect everything.
Well, that's the
for the
choice.
sake of making that money.
Well, that's the operative word is neglect.
Yeah, and they try to justify it by saying, "I'm doing this for you."
Yeah, no, you're not. You're doing it for you.
Especially when they say, "Well, I don't care to have all of this. I don't need all this."
Yeah, you do.
No, I'm talking about the family. When the family tells you,
"Oh yeah,
you're doing this for me," but no, I don't need all this. We're fine with that, with half of this. But you're addicted. And then I always ask people, are you addicted to the money? Or are you addicted to the sport of getting the money? Do you like the high of doing the deal? Or are you doing the deal because you like the high of the money that follows? A lot of people will tell you, think about it, when you've gotten so rich, Elon Musk rich, at that point, it's just the high of doing the deal. And you know what, Kenny? I want to do a deal with you. I want to work with you. The high of let's make this work. How can we both benefit and let's do this? Or you own that trunk. You are a trunk maker. I want to buy your business just because I want to see if I can do this deal. Not because I think that trunk's going to make me. I mean, look at this. He bought Twitter and lost a shit ton of money. But just the fact that he was like, I want to see if I can do it.
Shits and giggles, man. Shits and giggles.
Right.
I have a potential new client. I can tell a story. He won't know. But made a shit ton of money. I mean, a ton of money.
Right.
Engaged to be married. But what has happened is he was robbed. I mean, he sold his company. It was a tech company. He was robbed at gunpoint.
Wow. Okay.
And for some reason, he has just lost his way. I mean, he's lost all face to everything, and he's just not available for. I know his partner more than I know him.
Okay.
But to see that, and I'm like, okay, when you were saying that about being obsessed to the game, him selling his company, not having anything to run to,
Yep.
and that loss of self, because when he was robbed, all of a sudden I told her, and this is something that I shared with her, I said it's a trigger.
Yeah.
It's a trigger to other things, but it's not about the money, it's the chase of getting to that money. It's that game, that hunt, that thrill that he's lost. Now there are other factors that are carrying up to this point with him. And when he got robbed, he was violated.
Yeah.
But there's levels of violation in the past that brought up. However, him being available for you, him being available for his money, everything that he has and his opportunity, he doesn't see that. He only sees is that he got robbed and I'm worthless. I ain't shit now.
Well, and you'll see this also in men in relationships. So you'll hear men out there, and we talk about this all the time. Not me and you, but friends of mine will talk about it. And it's like men will go out with their boys, and they're not single, and they're talking to women, right? They're not getting telephone numbers. They're leaving and going home. But when they're out at a bar hanging out, it's like sport fishing. You're catching and throwing it back. You don't want anything with it. You just want to know that you still can catch a fish. And is that cheating because you've gone out and had a conversation with a woman? You want nothing from her. You're perfectly content at home, but yet it's just the thrill of being in the game and doing that, most men will tell you that's not cheating because there's nothing coming from it. There's absolutely nothing coming from it. It is pure sport and entertainment while I'm out.
Right.
Flip it to women who, when they go out and we say men hit on them all the time, that's their way of sport fishing because they put themselves in a position to feel desired, right? But they go home because the one person they want to be desired by is their husband. But let that woman who says, well, I don't care about anybody else, let her go out and not a single person say, we talked about this before, not a single person say anything to her. She's going to come home feeling all shitty. Like, I'm not desirable anymore. I still desire you. Well, yeah, okay, because you're my husband. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so people become obsessed with attention from others. You and I know somebody, and here's a funny story, and I'll tell you her name when we're done. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But she told me outright the reason why we never really connected it like we could have is because I didn't give her all the attention that she wanted. She's like, I really wanted a lot of attention, and other people gave me a lot of attention, and you were too busy to give me the attention I needed. So she's like, when I was out with you, you were paying attention to me, but I was always seeking attention from everybody. Like, I wanted to make sure everybody saw me, everybody paid attention. She's like, I was young. She's like, now I get it. And I'm like, yeah. We become such good friends now that we can have this conversation.
Yeah. I know you're talking
what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
We can have this conversation now. And it's funny because she never told me this until a few weeks ago. And I was just like, I've known you for well over a decade.
And every time you hang out with her now, you should just say, I'm just paying attention to you, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
like, yeah, I'm not. You know?
Right.
But it's funny because people become obsessed with this attention. They want this attention grab. And they want to, but they'll never tell you that's what they're obsessed about.
Yeah. My wife and I believe that neither one of us are obsessed with attention, but we all know that it feels good.
Yeah.
And I want her to know that I love her dearly and I want her to feel good. I always say, did you get did anybody hit on you today? Did you get something free today? And she does the same thing to me.
Because
we go back and forth.
Everybody wants to feel wanted.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a different kind of want. People are like, I only want my man to want me. Yeah, and that's not true. You want to know that when you step out the house, people notice your swag.
You want to be wanted, not saying that you have to have.
And you don't want everybody, but you want everybody to be like, yeah, the more people that look and like me, it feeds that ego, which is okay.
But when it becomes an obsession.
Yes, when you live your entire life trying to get that ego fed.
Right.
Through social media, through whatever, and then all of a sudden now it becomes, I got to change my appearance. I got to do all these things.
Yes.
And like we talked about on the live today, when people get catfished for money and all this stuff, that attention isn't being met. And so finally, when somebody meets that attention and gives you all the attention you want, you become obsessed with that one person, and not necessarily the person, but you become obsessed with what he's doing, how he's making you feel. And that's how you get catfished. That's how you get snatched up. That's how you start sending dudes $100,000. Yeah, that story was crazy.
Yeah,
right?
Man. That was a lot. If you guys didn't.
And that was not made up.
Yeah.
Because she sought me out in my office, everywhere else, to let me know that it's my duty to make sure every account gets shut down.
Right.
Yeah, not my duty. It's your duty not to send somebody money. But that's that obsession with the feeling of being wanted and feeling needed. And I think we all have that need to be wanted, to be liked, to be cared for. But when you turn that to an obsession, which feeds an addiction, that shit is unhealthy. And that will ruin your life. And you need to get out before you get too far in.
You need to get help.
I mean, think about it. OJ, that was an obsession.
Yeah.
You know, and 2 people died from it. I don't care what anybody says.
What? What? You think he?
I said what I said. I said what I said.
What? Say it ain't so. OJ, the juice.
But yeah, man, y'all, we could go on forever talking about obsession, and you guys know out there that this is everything plays on one another, all of our conversations, and this is a topic that will come up many times. But I think
start checking yourself, man.
You know, it all starts with you feeling you deserve. You don't deserve shit. You earn shit. And when somebody gives you something, accept it and move on. Don't be so obsessed with it that you just crave more. It's okay to crave attention. Don't crave it to the point.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, don't crave it to a point where you lose yourself. So much drama, man.
In the LBC, trying to hard be in the Snoop Deal Double G. What? Yo, I'm Coach KJ. You're going to find me at Coach KJ Knows on Instagram and CoachKJ.com. Where are they going to find you, Coach?
Coach number 2. Coach 2, you're going to find me at Lionel Hunt on Instagram. You're going to find me at huntspine.com. You're going to find us both at SOE_podcast. You're going to find us both at podcastsoe.com. Dude, tune in every week. Turn to. Tune in every week for our live show. Send us DMs about things that are bothering you, questions you want answered. And we're here every Wednesday, man. Check us out. It only gets better. Dude, this is a good show, man. My man, always a pleasure, man.
Yes, sir. I'm out. Deuces.